Good evening from Cleveland, everybody. This is Big Dave here, Wildcard podcast on Walker Talks Radio. Just going to talk a little bit about our experience, the day two of the Nationals, day one for me and Keith, and just going to go over some of the things that took place and, some of the things that we really enjoyed and some of the things that are just Whew, not not taken, not the way that I guess that I would want it to be. So everything, if you're listening to this and you like ball cards, you're keeping up with what's going on with the National, pretty much everything that you're hearing is true. There is no cell service, no data service on your phone. Parking is unbelievably impossible unless you get to the show at least an hour ahead of time. It's gotten so bad that it went from $10 for parking to everybody is now parking for free because the line was getting held up so much taking payments for parking that there was no sense in charging anymore. So that kind of took away from the reason I bought the VIP pass to get to the Nationals was because it offset $50 of the cost, so I didn't have to pay for parking. So because it's become such an issue for everyone, to give you an example, a fellow dealer who sets up at the Franklin, Tennessee show that I know personally got in line at 9 o'clock to park, and I saw him as he came through the doors at noon. His son got out of the car and walked almost a mile and a half to the show and got there an hour before his father did so that he could park. So it's pretty much a disaster as far as parking goes. Getting in was really easy. I picked up my VIP pass and got my free gifts. Some of the cool stuff that was in there. One I'm giving to my son. There was a Japanese Pokemon pack all sealed up in the VIP gift. One of the other things that was really big was Panini. Caitlin Clark's first WNBA card was in the VIP pack, as well as Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, and a Wembanyama. So that was really cool to get that in the pack. And so Keith and I spent probably the first hour or so in the upper deck and Panini, the corporate area. So I had redemptions that I could swap out with Panini because they were outstanding, which just means that they have not been redeemed yet. The athlete had not signed the cards to send back to me. I made a trade with them for 2 black boxes, which are one-of-one cards that are equivalent in value to double whatever your redemptions are worth. So I had a Dwayne Wade, Devin A. Chain, 2 Danny Gray autographs. Total on those probably comes to about 300. So I got 2 black boxes that more than likely had a card somewhere in between $600 to $1,000 in it. As soon as I got the boxes, I got out of line to go and find Keith, and I was approached by this young man who had enough money to choke a donkey, and he said, "Do you want to sell, your black boxes?" I haven't even been at the show 45 minutes at this point, and I'm like, I want $1,000 a piece. Thinking to myself, there's no way this kid's about to throw me $1,000 a box. And he said, "What about 900?" And I was like, whoa, like this kid's serious. So I just told him, I said, "How about 950? Split the difference, and we'll do 1,900." So I was lucky. I had maybe $150 invested in the cards that I had waiting for redemption, and struck a deal for $1,900. So in the first hour of the show, I was already $1,900 up. At which point we moved back in the main room, and we started looking at some vintage cards, some really neat stuff that I picked up. I did some trade in cash. I traded some of my WWF 1991 graded WWF cards picked up Keith. What year was the Abraham Lincoln?
34.
1934 Abraham Lincoln Will's tobacco card. So Keith and I, as I told you in last night's very brief update, we stopped by Lincoln's birthplace and his childhood home on the way up here. I have pictures of it. It was really, it's a place where you're in the presence, you're standing in a place where one of the greatest presidents ever lived the early years of his life. So it was great to stop by there. So I picked up the Lincoln for Keith for his personal collection by trading an Ultimate Warrior and Rowdy Roddy Piper Jim Mint 10 card, which I feel was a good trade. And then we worked on another deal. And in that deal, I got something for my personal collection, which is really awesome. And that is the Will's Tobacco Walt Disney Mickey Mouse card. You don't see these very often. You really don't see them in decent condition. I know this one is a 4, but it presents more like a 7 or an 8. It's off centered, but not too bad. But it's, this is 1931, and you just don't see things like this very often. So I picked this up for myself in that trade. Also, let me see if it's somewhere around here. I can't remember where we put it, but Keith is also, like I said, he's one of our pop culture entertainment experts, really. He ended up picking up I picked him up a Marx Brothers, which I think is a 1940s. Is that right? Yeah. It's the 1940 de Bouclair, which we think is French, and it's film stars. And you're going to notice, like, this is way smaller than your normal trading card. But these were probably in little packs of candy or something like that. This one says that it graded a 2, but we've looked this over pretty closely. It has a little bit of a rough edge up here, but I really think we could probably get this regraded and it would end up a 6 or a 7 minimum. But, like I said, Keith is a huge fan of vintage memorabilia and collectibles. We'll pick up some more tomorrow. We're debating on buying an entire collection of 1930 through 1960 vintage entertainment cards. They've got weird cards like planes and boats and dogs, some other stuff, but that brings us to another problem. So Keith had looked through all the stuff that he wanted, had a lot of entertainers, from the golden age of cinema. He picked up 30 cards, was ready to pay for it, took out his credit cards. He said, yeah, we take credit cards, no problem. Big problem at the Nationals. There is no cell service. There is no internet. So it got to the point to whereas Keith and I just had to hunt each other down. I couldn't reach him by text, phone calls. It just said call failed. At one point, my phone went into SOS mode. So it's just awful. You can't look up cards to know what you should be paying for stuff. You can't look up cards to let people know what you're willing to sell your card for. It's insane. So yeah, that led to Keith having to ask the lady to hold these cards to pick up tomorrow. Luckily, I had done some deals in cash, but because he couldn't get a hold of me, I couldn't run over there and just give him the $30. I mean, it would have been easy to do, but we're not in the same place, same time. So after I wrapped up the deal on my vintage stuff, and I went over to the large room where the autograph sessions are taking place. Keith probably said it best. It's just sensory overload. There's wheels spinning to win prizes and lights flashing and people doing stuff. And I was just like, man, this is like, I'll be honest with you, like, it's too much. They oversold the convention center. it was so crowded that by the time we left very early. We left at about 12:30, 12:45. As we were leaving, the security was saying and letting us know it may not be easy to get back in because they were at capacity. And this is the IX Convention Center in Cleveland. It's enormous. Like, it's not some small hotel show or anything like that. It's insane. So we left early. Like, I'll be honest with you, that many people, that crowded, I'm toting around a lot of money in two cases with me. And at that point, I'd had enough. Like, it was pretty insane. So the line to go to the bathroom was a minimum of 70, 80, 90 people long. And as bad as this is going to sound, like I'm just crapping all over the Nationals, there's two bathrooms, men's and women's, and that's it. And I don't mean like, hey, there's two men's restrooms and two women's. One and one. That's it. So if you have to go to the bathroom, you're going to be waiting for a little while. So that's also another disaster. Then, excuse me, they had a great idea. They brought in food trucks. Not only they bring in food trucks, but the venue has food and everything too. Lines for that are 50 people deep. There were no working ATMs because the ATMs couldn't hook up to the internet to tell you what your balance was, so you couldn't get money out. So, they're doing the best they can. I don't think that the IX Center in Cleveland understood how big sports cards are right now and what the response would be from the collectors. And the thing is this is Wednesday and Thursday. There are going to be more people there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, as people who didn't want to take off work and travel up here are coming into town. That's going to be a recipe for disaster. So Keith and I and some other buddies that we know, we're going tomorrow. We will probably leave at around noon again, get some lunch, come back, we'll park. After we park, I've got Pete Rose signing at 3:15. As soon as he finishes signing and I get JSA to certify and authenticate it, we're headed right back out. We're going to a nice steakhouse here in Avon with some friends of ours that live here in Ohio. Then Saturday, 11 o'clock, I get Chevy Chase. I'm having, just like I said in the previous video, I'm having that card authenticated and slabbed by CSG. They're going to do a one-day turnaround at the show for me. If they can't do the one-day turnaround at the show, it's all right, because I've already told them, I'm not coming to the show Sunday. Being that this is a road trip, I had a better time driving up here than I did at the show today. Wonderful time. My oldest friend in the world stopped at Lincoln's birthplace, stopped at Muhammad Ali's grave, drove around, did all the fun stuff. So Sunday, when we could be going to the show, we're not. Instead, we're going to go to the Ohio State Fair and eat fried Twinkies and stuff. And it's going to be unbelievably awesome. And I won't have to think about a ball card the entire time I'm there. But yeah, I'll say this to everybody who's watching. If you're thinking about going to the Nationals, it's fun. I mean, it's a blast. But the best time are the conversations and the experiences you have with the people that you're with. And so, Keith and I made this trip 27 years ago here to Cleveland for another National with our friend Joe and his brother Billy. And we had a great time. And we talk about that experience from 27 years ago quite often and what an amazing experience it was. And so I just want this trip to have that same feel and amazing experience. And I'm not going to just confine it to going to the ball card show or getting the autographs. Like, this trip will be something that Keith and I talk about well into our 60s and 70s. So, like I said, going to get the Chevy Chase signed, get that out of there. The deals that I was telling you all about on the cards, those went through. I sold one of the Ellie De La Cruz cards, kept another one, sold the Nolan Ryan, two of those, kept the other two. And then after that, like I said, we left, came back to the hotel, took a nap, a very well deserved nap. As a matter of fact, after all the traveling and everything we done, getting up early, went tonight, just had Taco Bell. Man, it's, I don't think I actually am the one that caused it. I slept from about 5:15 till about 7:15, just getting a power nap in. So went to Taco Bell, grabbed something to eat. It's, you know, fast food. I think that's what you pretty much exist on at things like this because time constraints, everything. Other than that, the experience has been awesome. I sent some of my buddies pictures of the T206 Honus Wagner that was on display. Getting to see it up close is just an unreal experience. Upper Deck had an amazing setup. Jordan, Connor McDavid, Wayne Gretzky, Tiger Woods, Gary Player. I mean, you name it. They had amazing memorabilia everywhere. It was just crazy. I couldn't believe how many nice pieces of memorabilia they had. They had the Jordan off whites, which, if you know sneakers, the off white Jordan is a very expensive shoe. They were autographed by Jordan, and he only signed 23 pairs. Those were on sale for $40,000. Now, am I going to buy those? No, not a chance. But they were really cool to see. They also had some of the Space Jam characters, where the people who played the characters had signed signed a piece of basketball court that had the character painted on it. They had signed those. Those were really cool. I mean, I can't tell you all the awesome stuff that we saw. Golden Auctions right now and Heritage Auctions have displays. I saw original Power Rangers uniform from like the first season where they shot the TV show Power Rangers. They have every costume up for auction right now at Heritage Auctions, and those are expected to go for a few $100,000 a piece. They also had other movie props. They had cards. They had sealed boxes of just insane stuff. So Heritage was really cool to see. We're going to go by Leland's auction house also because, like I said, I told you all we have the Warren Buffett signed Monopoly, Berkshire Hathaway Monopoly game that's JSA certified. We'll either sell it tomorrow or we're going to consign it to one of the auction houses. That was pretty cool. Other things that we saw today, Beckett didn't have as long a line as PSA did. PSA is doing on-site grading. I think it's $400 for same day grading, maybe $500 for same day grading. I saw a lot of people getting stuff graded. So one of the guys I talked to, the big player that's moving right now in basketball, obviously Victor Wembanyama, but also Paolo Banchero is selling very well, very, very well. Jordan, Kobe, those are no brainers. Those sell and are now selling at a premium again. Baseball, you didn't see, mostly vintage. It was mostly vintage baseball that's really moving well. We saw Willie Mays rookie graded PSA 8. Lord only knows how much that card costs. For my Memphis fans, we saw the Penny Hardaway National Treasures logo man, the little Jerry West logo that's on the jersey up here, graded an 8.5, and it was $17,000. So, another thing I'll tell you, a lot of the stuff that's here at Nationals is jacked up in price because it's stuff that you don't see a lot of places. And the booth cost here to set up a table and a booth and everything else, I don't even want to know. It's thousands of dollars to set up at this show. So you got to recoup that somehow. And so prices here, will vary table to table. You just don't know what you're going to find. Friend of ours, Keith's brother Billy, saw that 1993 SP baseball that has the Jeter rookie in it. You had boxes ranging from 1800 to 4500. Same box, different tables, different places, just ridiculous. I mean, the prices are all over the place. We One thing that is at this show that Keith will talk about in one of our next episodes, there was hockey here. And hockey is a growing sport that's gathering more and more fans, every year. But normally at the Nationals, you don't see people with a ton of hockey. And one of the tables we stopped at first that had the Penny Hardaway card had a stack of probably 8 or 9 Connor Bedard Young Guns rookies in a PSA 10. And at one point, those were going for like $1,200, $1,500, if not more. I can't even remember, but they've come down since. But hockey was here, soccer, vintage soccer, modern soccer. It's big right now, especially with World Cup and things coming up. That was something that I began to notice. I had some interest in my Cristiano Ronaldo autograph. Didn't quite reach a deal on it, but I'm sure I will eventually. Didn't see much golf stuff. A lot of baseball, a lot of football, a lot of basketball. But like I said, the thing that I saw selling most was your Jordan, your Kobe, modern basketball, vintage baseball. And then, to be honest with you, as strange as this may seem, I didn't see a ton of football that was selling. I saw one Joe Burrow rookie that got sold at a premium, right at, I want to say, 9,000. I think it was the sticker price on it was 9,000. I don't know what they agreed to, but sticker price was $9K, and they came to an agreement. And dude pulled out the cash. I didn't sit there and watch him count the cash out. I was just, kind of happened to be at the table at the time the deal was going down. Other than that, looking forward to the Pete Rose signing tomorrow. Looking forward to Chevy Chase on Saturday, and looking forward to the Ohio State Fair on Sunday. With that said, if you have any questions whatsoever about any collectibles you have, if you have any questions for me about the experience at the Nationals, I'm happy to answer those. You can just leave it down in the comments, and I will get right back with you. Other than that, be sure to like and subscribe. All the things that are going on here at Walker Talks Radio with the Fish, Chuck, Gabe, myself. You're going to cover everything from sports, to politics, to collectibles, more than you could ever imagine. So, like I said, be sure to like, subscribe, hit those buttons down there, leave some questions if you got them. We'll come back tomorrow with another report on how the signing with Pete Rose went. I decided today I'm not taking as many cards as I did tomorrow. I broke it down into a much smaller case that'll all fit into a backpack, and that's all I'm carrying because it's so crowded. It's just easier not to have 2 cases going with me. So I'll let you know what happens tomorrow, let you know what we buy and sell, come back with pictures of those things. Until then, I appreciate it, everybody. This is the Wildcard Podcast with Big Dave here on Walker Talks Radio.